How to uncrop images for free and end up with an awesome result. Your favorite AI image generator makes an amazing picture. You have a photograph from back in the day. You have a painting that's just too small or the dimensions are wrong. You need to expand the background. That's where uncropping or outpainting comes in. Uncropping is just what it sounds like, the opposite of cropping an image. This is a critical tool in my arsenal, and I use it for nearly every single thumbnail across my social platforms. Different social media platforms use different dimensions, and it's hard to get an image that's perfect everywhere. That's where my favorite tool, Clip Drop, comes into the mix. I've been using this free tool for over a year now, and it's part of my daily tool set. If you find this demo useful, please take a moment to hit that like button. I'll do my best to earn it as quickly as possible. For now, let's get into it. What exactly is uncropping? Let me show you a very clear example. This is an awesome picture of me in a tuxedo running away from an exploding helicopter made by Artflow, my favorite image generator tool that actually makes me look handsome instead of ugly. But this is the wrong dimensions for a thumbnail. Look at that empty white space. I can keep expanding the image and dragging it over, and that's what I used to do in the past. But it ends up pulling part of me out of the image, or you get less of the helicopter. It always has a price. Now with Clip Drop, that side filled out and it looks correct. This is a great result. Here's another example. Here's me pushing some buttons inside of a factory that's on fire or exploding. There's a red alert situation. You see so much of red buttons. I'm about to push one. Again, we have a bunch of white space. How can we correct this? Uncropping adds this external image. Now, uncropping isn't always perfect, so sometimes we have to do multiple runs through, but this result ended up on one of my thumbnails. Here's a final example. Here's me DJing. This is the wrong dimensions. You can see in the bottom corner, I have the Artflow logo. Maybe I don't want to show that on my thumbnail. What can I do? I can enlarge the image here. Now this image is actually wider than I needed, so I was able to drag it around and use it. These are 3 examples of what uncropping can do. Now let's dive directly into Clip Drop and let me show it to you in action. Here's an image that I wanted to use to test for my consistency video because I wanted to run a thumbnail test. I want the image to have a little bit more space to work with because right now there's nowhere for me to put the text. If I put the word consistency, it's going to end up crossing their faces or blocking out part of the image. I want to make them a little bit taller. You can choose how you want to uncrop by dragging the image. The more empty areas and different sections, the more likely Clip Drop is to fail. But we're going to do just a small test where we're just adding bottoms to the images and a little bit to the side. And I want you to see what happens. When you're on the free version, you have to wait for a queue, which sometimes is several hundred people, so it could be a few minutes. Look how quickly on the paid version I get my image. That's the benefit. And that's why I believe upgrading is worth a small fee. You always get 4 choices and you don't have to fill in a prompt. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to describe what I want to see in the background and all of that stuff. Just make 4 choices and I'll find one I like. Let's look at the 4 options. Notice that the belts are slightly changing and choose which one you like the most. This one is my favorite of the 4. I think it looks natural and I wouldn't know that this was an uncrop unless you told me. When I'm ready, I just hit download and it grabs the image that quickly. It's such an easy process. Let's do another one. Here's a picture of me with big muscles running through a fire. We don't have the correct dimensions. You can see there's empty on both sides. I can try to add another arm to myself, but I always want to add space on the left-hand side because that's where I'm going to put the text. I need space to put the text to describe what the video is going to be about. This one area is what I'm going to uncrop. So let's hit next and we'll see what it adds. Already it looks really good. You can decide what you want the wall. Do I want more fire or no fire over here? Do I like this one or this? So this expands the fire as well. This one is my favorite. I think it has the most action going on and it feels very natural. The fire, the smoke are all working. This is very good. The more challenging we make the crop, the more likely it is to fail. So if I do this, it's very likely that it's going to fail. And I want to show you that so you can get an experience of a failure. I think it's very important to see the different ways of doing this, just to see the right way and the wrong way. And then I'll show you how to get a larger image. Sometimes we get a win. Here we have a failure. This is an example. You can see my arm is melding into the wall. We have 3 wins and a fail out of this set. This is very good. When we push the envelope, sometimes we get a bad image and we can just go back and run it again. The other option is to crop it, download it, upload the image and do it again. That's what I'm going to show you right here. We're going to crop this one. I think this one is my favorite. I'm gonna hit download. And then I can go back and I can upload the image I just downloaded. One of the best ways to get better results is to do multiple rounds of uncropping. If I want to add more to the top, if I want to add more to my arm, those are ways to do it. I don't need more width, I just need height. So just make it taller. If I bring in the sidebars, notice that now I can go taller. Now I can add a lot more sky. If I'm going from rectangle to square, this is the method to do it. We can push it really far and try to go to a full square, which is right around here. This is a lot to ask it to do. Let's see what happens. Let's push the envelope and push this tool right to its breaking point. Let's see what clip drop is capable of. It's a perfect example of it's just two images. They almost go together, but not quite. It just looks like one photo of another. Here, we start to get a little bit crazy. Now there's like a fire volcano above me or a fire tornado. It looks cool, but it doesn't look real. This one's pretty good, but it doesn't have any bright colors up here. It's very gray. And here we have some sky. You can add different elements, and if you just go slower, it will be more consistent. You have a little bit more control. That's something that you really can only do with the paid version because it's much faster. The difference between the paid and the free version is just the slowness of the generations. You can see we have some pretty cool images. I definitely like this one. I'm going to grab it. This is an image you may recognize. We're going to try and expand the blue dress to get the rest of it because this is a great image, but it's a square. Sometimes when we're generating an image, we forget to change the dimensions. Let's hit next and see if we can expand her dress on both sides. Pretty good. Here we have some erroring where it's just getting muddy. It's not pulling in the image. Same thing here. It's not really useful. This side is good, but this side is not good. In each of these cases, these two sides are out of focus. I've asked for too much, and here the dress is losing a lot of its excitement. This is a great example of it's good but not great. How can we get to great? We're going to take it back a step and just do a little bit at a time. The less we ask for the uncrop, the more likely it is to give us a win. I'm going to build it one step at a time. I'm going to get the exact same result, but I'm going to slowly build towards it. This is the process for getting a great image. It's pretty good. See, this is too fuzzy. This one right now is okay. Nope. When you get a good uncrop, you click thumbs up. If it's bad, you click thumbs down now to help train the AI. This one's pretty good. So this one for me is usable, and we're going to go through this process of iteration. So now I want to just expand it a little bit more on this side to finish off the wing. I think it's going to be around here. Let's hit next. So we have a failure with our first image. Too fuzzy, a little too fuzzy. The more we push it, it hits that envelope. I think this is the best version of it. We're going to hit download. Then we're going to go back and we're going to do the other side of the image. Let's get the rest of the dress. This is an iterative process. Let me know what you think. Does this look better than the larger uncrop earlier? Is it worth taking these extra steps? Let me know in the comments below this video because I do read every single comment. Here we can see things went crazy a little bit out of focus. I'm not in love with these, so I'm going to rerun it again. We're going to keep it here. You can also actually, you don't have to use a lot of the original seed image. All this out of focus stuff I can cut out. There's a lot of room for me to play around and really adjust what gets pulled into the image for the final version. With every tool, there's a limitation, and it's very important that I find that limitation and push against that wall to see just what it's capable of. So this is starting to look very good. I'm pretty pleased with what's happening here. Not this one, not this. This one is okay. I'm trying to decide which billowing element I like the most. I think this one. This is pretty good. It's not perfect. I could do more rounds. I didn't want to do this demo in advance because then I would be tempted to just show you the win and not show you the journey. Now we're going to really push the envelope and try to see what happens when we're missing half of an image and what it creates. Here's a picture of half of me. As you know, if you follow this channel, and I hope you subscribe, most AIs think I'm ugly. When they generate an image of me, it's usually monstrous. It adds about 20 years and it hurts my feelings. And sometimes in my videos, I end up crying because they're just so mean. We're going to try to use one half of my face to guess the other half of my face. This is really pushing clip drop beyond what it's supposed to do. We're almost creating a Rorschach test here, but I want to see what's possible. Push the envelope. As you can see, we've now triggered a failure. I'm not sure why. There's a bucket behind me. I seem to be wearing, I think these are feathers, but I'm not sure. It is able to do pretty accurate guess of the other side of my body, but notice that there's something wrong with my face. Here, worse. In each of these cases, it looks like I have some type of deficiency. This is the closest one. It's not great. So we've pushed it to the limit. I don't know what's happening with my eyebrows, but that's the point of these tests. And we can get a little bit more granular. Let's see if we dive in on my face. If just doing my face gives it even a chance of making me look like something other than a monster. Whoa, that's not feeling very good. So here you can see this side of my face is much older. There's more wrinkles. It's aged me up. Someone is kissing me. That's the wall that I found when pushing it. But what if we take the other side of the image? I have more of a grimace on this side of my face. Does it make a difference? Put it right here. Is it able to handle the background? Does it understand the types of trees that are behind me? Can it expand this? There's a huge jump in the type of jungle behind me. This one is pretty good. I'm still uglier than I am in real life. Obviously, I want an AI to make me more handsome, but this is about the best I've seen of all my tests of this idea. Here my face is melting, and then this is just an out of focus item. I don't know what it's supposed to be. This is the wrong type of tree. I think that's a hand and bones showing, and my face is just horrific. Like really, it's a real kick to the old self-esteem. But these tests are important because you would think uncropping can do anything. There's a limitation, but there are some things that's very good at. Let's try something where we have a lot more scenery. We have volcano. This is steamy water, and then another set of volcanoes. We have red in the front, green in the back. And we want to see if we can create a larger landscape. This is a different type of test that can be very interesting. Now, I don't need more upstairs. I already have clouds, so I don't want to ask for more than I need. I never want to ask for more than I want, because that's where I'm most likely to hit a failure. As you saw, trying to do a side of my face led to all sorts of surprising results. I can tell there's a line here. It's not super strong. There's some big shift changes across this line, this one section of white, only because I know to look for it. Do I notice it? Let's look at our other images. I think this is way better. Looking at these two, this is a softer push, but there's not any red volcanoes there. Here has the red I'm looking for. This is pretty good. We compare this to over here. This has more smoke. It tends to put more smoke in the new generated images. It's one of its little tricks. But of these three, this is my favorite. I can go back and redo as many times as I need to. That's one of the things I like about this tool. It may be better to just do a small jump first to stair step it. Now we have a great result. I think this looks phenomenal. I really like this. The fire continues. It has the smokiness. The star of the show is still here. I don't want another super bright green volcano to appear here and draw attention away from the real star of the show. This is quite good. We've got a really good result. I'm gonna grab this one. That's the process. Is it good enough for me to use? Here's a picture that I was using yesterday from Artflow. We've got robot fingers. So there's always something silly in the picture, but the fire looks great. The dumpster on fire behind me, the picture on my face. It doesn't quite look like me, but just a little bit. If I want to put the text over here for the thumbnail, one reason to not change the blue bars is that it's preset to that 16:9 dimension. So I know it's the correct dimensions, but I can get more and drag some of it off screen when I'm actually making the thumbnail, which I'll show in my thumbnail creation training video that's coming up soon. Let's hit next. We have some great continuation. It feels like it's the same drawing, and that's what I look for. And then which version I like. This person hidden in the background doesn't need to be there. Here, there's no problem. Do I want the building to continue or to end here? And do I want the building to possibly be on fire? So pull some of the fire in. I really like that the 4 results it gives me are different. So I have 4 choices to choose from. Of these, not this one, not this one, not this one. Either 1 or 3 is my first choice. I think this is the one I'll use. And this is exactly what I did for these thumbnails. This thumbnail was on a picture from yesterday's video. Let's do one more example. Here's a picture of me with giant muscles. There's something right here and right here in my hands, which means there's a new layer of difficulty. And I want to show you what happens. Let's push to the envelope. Let's see if it will give me legs and what it will put in my hands. This is a higher level of difficulty image, and it's made some choices. If you look closely, the legs, there's something going on that's wrong with this leg generation. It's a little bit off here. You can see it goes out and then in. This leg seems fine, although there's a change in colors of the pants. I think that's fine. But if you look at the hands, it doesn't know what to do here, and it didn't know what to do here. It almost makes sense, but the problem is the way it's attached to my hand is weird. And that's why I want to show you this image, because the image itself has a problem. Here in this example puts nothing in my hands. It looks weird. I think there may be too many fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. That could also be part of the problem. I have way too many fingers here and too many thumbs, and here I have 2 thumbs and 3 or possibly 4 fingers. There's a problem there that's grotesque, but is the rest of the image enough of a distraction I can still use it? This is pretty interesting. These are too far out of focus. It's like a muddy painting, and I don't want it. Of all of these, I think this is the best one. Let's go back and regenerate. These are just causing a problem. When you start with a damaged image, it's always going to feed into what clip drop does because it assumes that everything there is what I want there. It's never going to make the assumption that there's something there that I don't want and I want it to ignore. It doesn't think that way. One of the better ways to deal with this image is to remove the hands and let clip drop try and regenerate those. So that's what we're going to try next. I'm going to open up Affinity Photo 2, which is the image editor I use on my computer. I prefer it to Photoshop. And I'm just going to crop out the broken zone. Both hands are pretty messed up if you ask me. Now we have a great image. There's nothing wrong with this image. This is exactly what my muscles look like. I'm going to export this. It's a JPEG. I'm going to call it Muscle Jonathan 2. This is a tool that's part of my workflow. It doesn't answer every problem. Sometimes I need to use another tool before using this tool on its own. That's why it's part of my toolkit. Now we have a great image to work from. You can see it has room to add both hands. The question is, what will it do? I want to push this tool to the edge. Let's add some legs. Let's force it to really grow me. Look how much space I want it to generate. It's almost more space than's in the original image. It's a lot of thinking and guessing. And a core level uncropping is guessing. Looking at an image and guessing what should be outside the image. When it's not sure what to do, it will cheat by putting things out of focus. If we look, this hand, it's out of focus. I consider that cheating. 1, 2, 3, 4. No extra fingers on this hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a mushy finger. I guess I'm holding 2 canteens, and the legs are cut off. Perhaps I'm kneeling. Look at these hands. We're pushing it past what it's really good at doing. Now we just have 2 bloody stump hands, and I've asked it to do too much. Let's keep it really simple. Let's stop pushing it past the envelope. Let's say just add a hand. Now, all it's thinking about is the hand. Instead of thinking about legs, hand, other arm, background, the more I have it draw, the more it has to think about. If we just do one zone at a time, then I'm limiting how I want it to deploy the bandwidth or its mental energy. Think of each AI tool as having so much it can think about at a time. If it deploys all of that memory for 10 tasks versus 1 task, of course the 1 task is going to be better. Multitasking always lowers efficiency. Already, we have a better result. There are too many fingers, which is not a surprise because the original image had too many fingers. That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. It's getting better, but it's not perfect. Now the hand is holding something. If you don't zoom in, you won't notice, but if you do zoom in, you just notice that it's gone crazy. We're really pushing against what it's capable of doing, and that is the point, is to keep regenerating until I get a result that I want. I want to fight against this and push against, just to show you what it can and cannot do. Sometimes it struggles so much it might as well regenerate the original image. So right at the edge of what it can do from a distance, this looks fine. If I'm feeling zoomed in, it will look terrible. Yeah, it's like a mushy piece. I believe that's a gun. That's my guess. Another good trick is to hide the hand behind something. So it's deploying trickery. Don't know. I think of these, this gun design is the most interesting because I would almost want to uncrop again to see what type of gun it gets. Let's try the other hand to see if that makes things a little bit easier. That's pretty sneaky. Just make the wrist really long. That's a good trick. It does tend to rely on trickery here. I believe this is a gun and too many fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it's right number of fingers, but something's going on to that pinky. Nightmare. Uncropping works really great for background images and for non-people. Hands, toes, those are the hardest things for AI image generators to handle. This is where clip drop hits the wall. It has its own limitation, and it's my job always to test this tool, see how far it can go. Don't bother trying to uncrop a face or a hand because it's just outside of what it's really good at. It's not what it's designed for, because Volcano's amazing. Backgrounds, buildings, fires, explosions, it could do all of those things. It's only when we want really fine detail that we start to hit the envelope of what it can do. And I'm sure as clip drop improves, that eventually we'll be able to do hands. But for now, this is a great tool that's a major part of my toolkit. I use it nearly every single day. My goal with every demo and review is to push each tool past its breaking point. I don't want to feed you sunshine and roses only for you to discover that the tool can't do what you need it to do. There are other ways to uncrop images. Some image generators like Midjourney have added this feature, but it's very time intensive. I can run image generations on Midjourney and uncrop images with ClipDrop at the same time. And that brings me down to my criteria for any tool. I always ask the same questions when deciding if a tool will make it into my rotation. Does it save me time? Does it save me enough time that it's worth more than the cost of the tool? Does it save me money? And finally, are the results consistent? ClipDrop's Uncrop tool definitely needs to make it into your bookmarks. I only upgraded to the paid version this week because I'm doing such high volume that I need to save the time. If I'm only uncropping one image a day, I don't mind waiting a couple of minutes for it to finish in the background. But if I want to create 3 thumbnails at the same time, I'd rather skip the line. There is an art to getting great results from ClipDrop, and I hope that you found this video useful. If you did, please consider hitting that like button. It helps more people to see these videos, and that will help this channel to grow. If you want to see more content like this, just hit the subscribe button and more of my content will appear in your feed. And if you hit the bell, you'll get notified every time I post a video, which for the next year, it's going to be every day. If you have a favorite tool that you want me to test or demo, please let me know in the comments. The advantage of a smaller channel is that I can still respond to every single comment. So drop a comment and see what happens. Thank you so much for hanging out all the way to the end. I'll see you tomorrow in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked that video, I think you're going to like this one or maybe even this one. Check them out.